The third most popular drug in the United States is marijuana, of course followed by alcohol and by tobacco. Notwithstanding the fact that an estimated 40 million people in the United States have smoked marijuana in the past year, it is still illegal in most states. Now, there have been a couple of movements afoot, which I never thought would take place in my lifetime, but are gaining great momentum. The first movement that was afoot was to allow the use of marijuana for medical purposes. And many states have passed laws allowing for the use of marijuana for medical purposes. And originally they would have a doctor prescribe marijuana. But there's a problem with that, because the federal government does not recognize a prescription for marijuana. Under federal law, any amount of marijuana is against federal law. And even though states may enact laws saying that it's okay to use it in their state for medical purposes, the federal government doesn't recognize that, and in theory could prosecute people for that. Now, fortunately, as it presently stands, the position of the current administration is to not prosecute marijuana usage that's in conformity with state law, as well as state law has a system in place to carefully regulate the use of marijuana. It also poses an interesting constitutional question. Most people will remember from elementary school social studies that with respect to our dual system of government under our federalist society, that the federal government is a government of very limited authority. The Constitution has to give authority to the federal government. If not, the power is reserved to the states. So generally, the enforcement of most crime, or what we call the police power, is reserved to the states, and the federal government does not have jurisdiction unless there's some federal connection to place the hinge for federal jurisdiction. So an interesting question is raised when states pass laws either decriminalizing marijuana or making marijuana legal for medical purposes, but the federal government says that it's illegal. Who controls? And the Supreme Court decided this in 2005, and at least to me surprisingly held that the federal government controls. That is, it doesn't matter whether a state has said it's okay for medical purposes or whether a state has decriminalized it, that the federal government has the authority to outlaw it, that authority comes under the Commerce Clause of the Constitution. And theoretically, the government can prosecute people for violating the criminal laws of the United States, even though their conduct was completely in accordance with the state in which they reside. One of these days, Texas is going to join along with the large group of states that have now either decriminalized marijuana or made it legal for medicinal purposes. But in the meantime, be careful. Texas treats it very seriously.